Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's session, The Future of Paxton Net2. I'm Isaac from ADM Computing, and I'll be facilitating this session this morning, and it's great to see so many of you here already. Just a quick housekeeping note, your cameras and microphones are switched off by default, so any questions you have, please do put them in the Q&A box. I'll send a post in that section in a moment so you can see where it is. Now, as many of you know, Net2 has been a trusted access control solution for over 20 years, and Paxton is now making some important changes to ensure it continues to meet the needs of modern businesses. Today's session will help you understand exactly what those changes mean, from software updates and controller upgrades to how you can keep your system supported and secure going forward. Today, we're joined by Richard Broomhead, Regional Account Manager at Paxton. We'll keep things jargon-free and practical so you can leave today with a clear understanding of what's changing and what steps you can take to stay ahead. We will also have time at the end for a Q&A, so do drop the questions in that Q&A box I mentioned before. And with that, I will hand over to Richard to get us started. Richard, over to you.
Thank you very much, Isaac, and thank you everybody for taking the time to join today. So let me just start by having a look at the agenda of what we'll be going over the course of the next 30 minutes. So it'll include an update on Net2, so what the future holds for Net2, and any additional features as well, which you may not currently be aware of or using, but could help to solve some of the common challenges in managing access around your building. We'll also take a look at the future as well, with a brief introduction to Paxton 10, and I'll talk about a few of the key pieces of functionality that the Paxton 10 system offers. So, where does everything currently sit in the Paxton portfolio of products? So, Net2 is very much our flagship access control system. It was first introduced over 25 years ago now, and over the years, many new features and capabilities have been added to Net2, which have helped to make it by far the most popular access control system in the country. Net2 was later enhanced with the addition of two complementary product lines. So we have the battery operated wireless door handle system called PaxLock, our popular video entry system, and then Paxton 10, which was launched just over 5 years ago now as our next generation access control and video management platform, and really incorporates some of the latest mobile and browser based technology that people have become more used to using in their everyday lives, and we now see moving into the workplace as well. So first of all, let me kick off with what's happening with Net2. Since the launch of Paxton 10, a lot of people have been asking what the future holds for it, and if it will continue to be developed and supported. So the answer to that is resoundingly yes. Some of you may be relieved to know Paxton have invested a huge amount of resource to rewrite Net2 in a modern programming language. So it's currently written in a legacy programming language called Visual Basic 6. Some of you may know about these things. Others, this might be something you've not come across before, but it will be rewritten into a modern language called C#. What that means is that this investment means we can ensure the product can continue to be supported and developed very much for the foreseeable future. And the rewrite of Net2 will be available from version 7, and we expect that to be released in January next year. Version 7 will also have some new features included in it as well. So it will feature a multi-factor authentication option and a refreshed user interface as well. Don't worry, it's not going to change things around too much. You'll still be able to find everything, but it will look a little bit fresher. Now, if your site is running the Net2 Net2 Plus door controllers, you'll be able to upgrade to version 7. There's no additional costs in this from Paxton, but we would strongly advise that the upgrade is done by a registered Paxton installer, such as ADM, who are obviously Paxton Gold partners. If, however, your site is running any of the original Net2 Classic door controllers, these will need to be replaced before you can upgrade to version 7. So how do you know? Well, when your system is upgraded to version 6.9, so the current version of Net2, you'll receive a notification to let you know if there are any classics in your system, and it'll look like this. I'll just put it on screen. So it'll come up with a note. It'll tell you how many classic controllers are in your network, and what their serial numbers are. Alternatively, you can ask your installer, so ask ADM, to have a look at your system. They'll investigate it for you and let you know if you've got any that need changing. Just as what might help in finding this out as well was the classic controllers were discontinued back in 2014. So if your system was installed after this period, it's very unlikely that you'll need to change any of your hardware. Okay. So despite the size of the upgrade that's coming, in terms of the amount of work from our side, most sites will have very little that they need to do in terms of hardware updates. There are currently 2 versions of the Net2 software. So there's the Lite version. So this was free. This has always been free of charge. The Pro has a one-time license fee. And the upgrades, so any software updates that come after that are free for life thereafter. You can quite easily check what version of Net2 you're running. It's just on the user interface. So when you first log into Net2, on the home screen, it will show in the top right-hand corner whether it's either Pro or Lite. You can also find this in the help drop-down in Net2, and then just click on About Net2. Again, it will tell you whether it's Pro or whether it's Lite. So this table shows just a list of additional features which are in the Pro software. There's a few especially popular ones which I wanted to highlight. Firstly, the Pro software gives you access to the Connect admin app and Net2 Online. So this enables you to perform everyday tasks in your system. So, for example, remotely releasing a door, viewing live events, managing your users, even running the firewall call via the app or the web user interface. You haven't got to be in front of the PC the whole time to see these features. The other popular one is the fire alarm integration. So the Pro software will give you the option of having a digital fire roll call report, and this can be delivered automatically to your fire marshal's phones or tablets when the fire alarm's triggered. So the roll call will display on your phone or your tablet a list of who was in the building. They can then be marked safe directly from the app. If there's anybody missing after you've done your roll call, and if you've uploaded their photo and phone number into Net2, you can then look directly on the app. So click on that missing person's record. You'll see the picture of who it is you're looking for, just so you can do a visual check to see if they're there or not. And you could also phone them directly from the roll call report as well. And it gives you some very precise information that you can share with the fire service if you need to. So it's a really powerful bit of functionality that you may already have access to, and may just need configuring by your installer. Although this can also involve the installation of extra readers so that you've got read in, read out to keep the firewall call accurate. The other feature in the Pro software, which I wanted to highlight, is security lockdown. So the lockdown enables you to secure your site with a single action, which disables the exit buttons and readers, but it leaves designated users immune from the lockdown. So people such as security staff, for example, you might want them to still be able to move around the building so they can deal with the threat. Schools have had it required by Ofsted for quite a long time now that they have to have some form of lockdown procedure in place, even if it's just a siren that goes off and then the teachers manually lock the doors. But this is becoming a lot more topical now, for not just for schools, but for commercial and public buildings as well, with the introduction of Martyn's Law. So Martyn's Law makes it a legal requirement for venues and public spaces to assess risks and implement protective measures. It applies to quite a wide range of locations. It could be entertainment venues, places of worship, retail, community centres, schools, which again have had to embrace this for some time now. But Martyn's Law essentially introduces two tiers. So the standard tier is buildings with a capacity of 2 to 799. This will require you to do some basic preparedness, so such as risk assessments and staff training, to show that you thought about what might happen in the event of an emergency and that you've got a process in place. And the enhanced tier, so this is buildings that have an 800 plus capacity. This requires a bit more advanced planning. So this includes security systems and incident response capabilities as well. So it's quite an important piece of legislation to be aware of. And it's something that if you've already got Net2, then you can roll out with some planning and using the Pro software as well. So well worth knowing about, I think. Another capability in Net2, which in my opinion is very underused, is third-party integrations. So Net2 has an open API. What this means is that third-party suppliers who sell commercial systems can write integrations to the Net2 database so that those two systems can talk to each other, basically. And there are over 60 tested integrations available already for Net2. These are listed under our website and are in the categories shown here. So as you can see, it mostly covers other building security and building management systems, things which really make sense basically to integrate with your access control. The one on the bottom right there, Paxton CID. So this stands for Paxton Certified Developer Scheme. So it's a list of pre-approved development partners, basically, who can write bespoke integrations to Net2. So if what you need isn't on that list, it might be possible to engage one of these development partners to write a one-off integration for you. So I've selected 3 popular integrations just for us to take a closer look at. And I believe these give a great idea really of what's possible through integrations. So these are CCTV integrations. We're giving the Dahua brand as an example. ANPR, I've chosen the HIC ANPR camera for this. And visitor management, which I've chosen entry sign. So starting with CCTV and the Dahua cameras. So why integrate this? Why is it beneficial to integrate your cameras with your Net2 system? Well, first of all, they're the two largest and usually the most important security systems on your site. So your Net2 system will typically be keeping the log of who has gone where and when. Your camera system is telling you what's happened. So it makes a lot of sense in integrating these two, so that you get your events in Net2, but then you can see a clip in the Net2 events log of that event happening on the Dahua or CCTV MVR. From a practical example, it means that, let's say you get a door forced event. So somebody's kicked a door open in your Net2 system. So Net2 can send you the alert, let's say via email, to say door forced event. If you're running your CCTV and your access control separately, you've then got to log into your CCTV, spool through the footage to see what's happened, during which period it takes time. You might not be able to find the person who has access to the CCTV either. But if you've integrated it, you can see what happened in Net2, and then you can see the video footage of it happening as well, and you can make a very quick decision then whether you need to send somebody over to investigate it or not. So in summary, the CCTV integration provides event-triggered footage and centralized management of a really key aspect of your security inside Net2. The integration is free of charge from Dahua, but you will need some professional help from your installer to get this set up. And obviously you need the actual camera equipment and MVR itself as well. So the next and probably most popular integration of all is ANPR, for which I chose the HIC system, but there are other ones available which are listed on our website. But HIC's one of the more common brands. So why is this such a good integration? Well, firstly, ANPR cameras are one of the most effective ways of keeping your car park secure. It can automate the entry process, so you haven't got cars queuing up to get in whilst they try and find their fobs or cards to tap on the reader and open the barrier. It's a lot more convenient, obviously, for the driver. You don't need to have a fob. You don't need to do anything, in fact, and the barrier will just open as you drive up to the camera. The beauty of the Net2 integration is that it allows you to enter the user's car registration against their user record as a token. So it makes it a lot easier to manage, say, staff or visitors that have vehicles. And perhaps most importantly, it means you can manage people's vehicle access from Net2. You haven't got to have one system with their fob access and then remember to add them to the HIC system for their car park access. So to use this integration, again, it's a free integration, you will need the actual HIC ANPR camera itself, and it will need a professional installation from your installer, both to install, commission it, and to integrate it to Net2. But really powerful integration, that. The final one of the three that I selected is visitor management. And for this example, I chose the entry sign system, primarily due to its large range of capabilities compared to some of the others that are on the market. So what is it and why might it be useful? Well, like many visitor management systems, it's a touchscreen system, so it enables people to sign in and out of the building using like a tablet style device, which people often position in the reception or the lobby. The particular benefit of entry sign, and why I selected this one, is that it can also integrate into lots of other databases that you might have. Couple of examples could be for a school, if you've got a SIM system to manage your student records, the entry sign system can actually integrate to that. Or if you're a corporate company, for example, you might well manage your staff permissions on Active Directory, which this can also integrate to. And by virtue of integrating entry sign to these, you can then use entry sign as almost like a little bit of middleware between, let's say, your SIMs or your Active Directory and your Net2 system. So rather than entering your users directly into Net2, it'll pull it from Active Directory or SIMs or whatever it is via the entry sign visitor system. It's very clever. So the integration at its most basic level allows somebody to sign in on the entry sign system. It will then automatically add that user to the Net2 database to assign the appropriate access levels of where they can go in the building. So this means that potentially your visitors and your contractors are added to the Net2 fire roll call if this has been set up in Net2, obviously. The entry sign terminal can also be specced with things like an inbuilt QR reader. So they can self-check in without having to enter their details. It'll also then alert the host that the visitors arrived, so they can come downstairs or whatever and meet them. There's no charge for the actual integration, but the touchscreen system itself can range anywhere from between £900 to sort of £1,500 plus installations. I must stress though that the 3 integrations I've just shown are just examples. On our website, there's a full list of all the tested integrations for Net2. I mean, for visitor management alone, there are 15 to choose from, as you can see on the screen here. So I hope that in this section of the webinar, it's just giving you an idea of what the possibilities are with Net2 and how powerful it is as a central hub for, for managing security systems in your building, reducing data entry and giving your staff more control, basically, of who's entering your building and what they're doing. That's really the power of Net2, and as I said at the start, it will continue to be invested in and developed. So for the final 10 minutes of this webinar, we're going to take a look at Paxton 10 and some of the next generation features it provides over Net2. So although Net2 is a fantastic and incredibly powerful system, it is 25 years old, and there are some things that we're never going to be able to do natively in it. That's really where Paxton 10 comes in, and the things that I'm going to highlight in the final sort of few minutes. In terms of both markets and the size of installations, Paxton 10 sits in exactly the same space as Net2, so it's a comparable alternative. In terms of number of doors, it scales from 1 to 1,000 doors. Installation costs are generally similar. There are, however, 4 next generation features which are not possible natively in Net2. So these are the ability to use your phone as a credential, built-in video management capability, full web browser and mobile access, and an inbuilt multi-site capability. Let's start looking at the multi-site, which I've got a very short video to play. So how does the multi-site work in practice? Let's take Paxton as an example, actually. So our head office is in Brighton. So we've got a Paxton 10 system in there. It's got some doors, it's got some cameras, and then we also have our factory, which is down the road in Eastbourne, but that sits on a separate network. So if we were using Net2 here, we'd either have to have two separate databases, or we'd have to run Net2 in a virtual environment. With Paxton 10, however, all we need is an internet connection, and then using the Paxton 10 cloud service, entering the serial number of one door controller at our Eastbourne site. It'll use that as a discovery agent to find all of the doors and cameras and Paxton 10 devices that are on that network. It will give us an activation code, which we can enter into the Paxton 10 interface. And then that allows our head office in Brighton to be linked directly to the factory in Eastbourne on one, basically using one database. And you can repeat this up to 100 times as well. So you can have 100 sites on one Paxton 10 database with just an internet connection. That's really powerful. Makes it very easy to roll out a system across multiple sites with one central place to manage it. So next, I mentioned video management. There's obviously a key feature in Paxton 10. So with Paxton 10, we've got our own range of cameras. The beauty of these really is literally you just need a PoE switch on the network. There's no MVR needed, so it's very light touch on your IT infrastructure. But the real benefit of using the cameras on Paxton 10 is that it provides a single platform to view and manage both your access and CCTV, which links the video footage closely with the access control. So, as an example, if I wanted to check what I'd been doing in the office yesterday, you could run a report in Paxton 10 of all my access control events. And then next to the access events, you'll be able to see the video footage of what I'd actually been doing in those rooms. And unlike Net2 with a CCTV integration, I can view this anywhere using the web user interface or the Paxton 10 apps. Storage is either on board on the cameras on SD cards, or if you need 30, 60 days retention on a busy site, you can direct it to a NAS drive, centralized storage on your network. This brings me sort of quite neatly onto the third feature on Paxton 10, which is there's no software to install on your PCs or servers. Everything's managed via a web browser or an app. Access via the browser gives you a lot of flexibility in how you manage the system, because you could do it essentially from anywhere in the country or even the world. And of course, being browser based, it means it's a very fresh and very clean, user friendly interface. Finally, the other next generation feature built into Paxton 10 is the ability to use your phone as a credential. So this is completely free of charge, and there's no restriction on the number of users. Where this, I think this is a particular benefit, could be when, for example, issuing access to a visitor or a contractor. So you simply create the user record for them in Paxton 10. You issue a smart credential, which will be automatically sent to that person via email. Once the user's got that app on the phone, they can go anywhere in the building that you've given them access to within the time period that you've allowed them as well. So if it's a contractor that's just on site, let's say for 1 month, give them that month's access. At the end of the month, that credential expires and your building's still secure. So using this sort of method can reduce some admin burden on your admin and reception staff. It can save money as well in unreturned cards and fobs that, let's face it, all of us every now and again forget to give them back and end up with a collection of them at home. But perhaps most importantly, it means that people can't leave your building with an active card or fob, which you might not be aware of. So this brings me to the end of the webinar. I hope it's given you an idea really of both the investment that's going into Net2 to ensure its continued future, some of the additional things that you can do if you've already got a big Net2 site, and potentially what Paxton 10 might offer above Net2, if you're thinking of changing as well. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box. I've also put the contact details up for ADM on screen as well, which I'll leave up for a few minutes so you can make a note of them. So if anything occurs to you later on that you want to ask, then please go to them and they'll direct that to me.